I'm not about to sit up here and lie to y'all. Last night's preseason performance left a lot to be desired, but I'm here to just calm y'all down a little bit. Relax. Dallas Cowboys fans are a little bit worried after the Dallas Cowboys preseason opener against the LA Rams, in which it was kind of disappointing. I'm not going to lie, but we have to keep everything in perspective, y'all. It was the first preseason game of the season. We're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about the bad. We're going to talk about some things that I definitely want to keep an eye on and just overall have a conversation about how we feeling, man. How we feeling. Y'all go ahead and start writing y'all paragraphs right now, man. Man, shut your up. Brian Schottenheimer. This may be the first time I'm actually kind of like scratching my head just a little bit off of one of the decisions made, and that was the fact that he didn't play any of the starters. Like, none of the starters played yesterday. Even guys that needed to be playing. Well, I guess you count Mozzie. I guess Mozzie played, but none of the actual starters played yesterday in any meaningful type of way. And I'm not really sure about that decision. I think when you have a quarterback who hasn't played since week 9 of 2024, when you have a wide receiver room where half of it consists of guys that quarterback has never actually taken the field with before. Dak has never played with George Pickens. Dak has never played with Jonathan Mingo. Well, hell, Treshaun Holden, which we're going to talk about him in a second because he's actually one of the bright spots. But your quarterback hasn't played with a lot of these guys. Now, the running backs, I kind of understand, but at the same time, I don't. Go ahead and play your starting running back as well. Javonte Williams should have got some burn. I believe he's healthy. He should have got some burn. He's tabbed in as his RB1. Play your offensive line, even if it's for 2 drives. And that's really all I ask for out of the preseason, because I do think that getting those live repetitions in where the opposing team is actually trying to punish you, where they're actually trying to inflict physical harm on you, that's important, especially for a young team. And a lot of these guys that are going to be starting, they're young players. It's not like we have a team full of veterans that kind of been there, done that. Everybody knows what's going on. This is, a program that's kind of been in place for a while. Man, this is a brand new program with a lot of new players that's going to have to play a pretty prominent role. Kyer Elam, he should have been out there. Although, I do feel like Shotty kind of made that decision based off that I don't think that any of the Rams starters really played either. I know Matt Stafford wasn't out there. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, I don't believe they played. So it could have been a situation where it's like he doesn't really see value in Kyer Elam matching up against the Rams' second stringers or third stringers or whatever it may be. But I do want to see the starters playing at least 2 drives, at least 2 series. The starters needs to play for the remainder of the preseason games, because I think it's important to do that. It really is just important to do that. So that would be the one thing I kind of scratched my head with. Now, as far as the play calling and the play sequencing and all that other stuff, I'm not really looking too much into that because Shotty told us not to. I'm really not trying to pay attention to what's being called, how things are being called, or anything like that. Maybe how he's calling things in the flow of the game, but even then, it's hard to see how he's going to call things in the flow of the game in a real game when he's holding back a lot of his playbook, right? So the plays that he may have used last night, he may not have actually made the same decision based off of having more of his playbook available to him. So I'm not looking at any of the play calling stuff because he literally let us know. He gave us a heads up, y'all. He gave us a heads up. So for the people that's talking about, I don't know about the play calling, or, I don't like how the plays looked, or whatever it was, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. He literally told you he was going out there with base concepts. He was going out there with vanilla. He was only playing with a 7-iron. So, I mean, hey, if y'all still want to make a big deal about the play calling and stuff, that's within your right. But, I mean, it doesn't make sense when the information is out there that would prevent you from doing so. I mean, and even the aggression, like the 4th down calls and stuff like that, I can't really put too much stock into that because who knows how he actually handles certain situations in a game that counts. It's the preseason, so maybe he was just trying to send a message or whatever it may be. The one moment that I do think that play calling wise, they should have gone a different way. I don't like the quarterback sneak with Joe Milton on that 4th and short. They should have handed the ball off to Phil Moffitt. That was a perfect opportunity. If you want your team to be a physical football team, bro, that was a perfect opportunity to punch the Rams D-line in their face and send the message to the entire league of, hey, this is how we come in this year. We're going to be able to hand the ball off to this big body back and put some work in, bro. And speaking of the big body back, he was definitely one of the guys that was a bright spot for the entire game for me. Even though he only had like 3.6 yards per carry or something, like it was like 10 carries for 36 yards or something. It was a real hard 36, and there were some nice runs mixed in there, and he was running behind a backup offensive line. And I don't know how good our backup unit is compared to the Rams backup unit, what the disparity is of our backups to our starters, but I'm just going to hope that the starters just look better. Obviously, everything's just going to look better. The playbook's going to be opened up, and things are going to look a lot more smooth. But Shoddy was keeping a lot in his back pocket, and I think that the cost of that was fans to be a little bit concerned. Some fans to lose a little confidence in what they saw, and I completely understand, y'all. It was a rough watch. The Joe Milton stuff, y'all got to leave it alone. I'm not even about to spend too much time on it. Y'all got to leave it alone. The dude has some good tools, but he needs time to hone them. He needs time to incubate, y'all. Let that man sit on that bench for a couple of seasons behind Dak and see if he develops some touch. See if he understands how to go through his progressions, go through his different reads and stuff. Let's see if he has a chance to do that and see if he has a chance to break out of that habit of trusting that big arm a little bit too much at times, right? Joe Milton's not ready. We got to stop that conversation. Let's cut it out. He's not putting pressure on Dak. Dak is going to be just fine. I promise y'all, bro, because if y'all actually sat down and watched the game last night, you know Dak going to be just fine. But Phil Maffa, I think he made a big statement. I think the running back room actually was a little bit encouraging considering that they weren't using in pretty much any of their top three backs, Miles Sanders, Jadon Blue, or Javonte Williams. They went out there with Malik Davis and Phil Maffa, essentially. Deuce Vaughn got out there, but I think Deuce is going to probably end up being the odd man out, y'all. I just don't know if he can play in the NFL at that size, a meaningful role out of the backfield, enough to warrant a roster spot. I'm not saying that he's not a good football player. He is. But I don't know if he is enough of an impact at this level to warrant a roster spot to where you know you're going to get this guy 15 touches a game. I don't know if you want to give Deuce 15 touches a game. We got guys like Phil Maffa and guys like even Malik Davis. Malik Davis looked really good last night in his showing. He averaged like 9 yards per carry or something like that. He looked really good last night in his showing. So Deuce, to me, he should be worried. Cowboys fans, I wouldn't worry too much about that first preseason game. Once we actually start to see some live reps with the starters, if we start to see the starters come out there and they just look like they're just disconjointed and everything just looks out of whack, then we're going to be like, okay, some adjustments need to be made. But, y'all, we can't get into this thing where we're going way up and then way down with the emotional roller coaster, y'all. I'm not going to do that on this channel. I don't want y'all doing that in the community. I don't want y'all in the comments acting a damn fool, y'all, because come on, man. Come on, man. It was the first preseason game of the season. It was the first preseason game of the Brian Schottenheimer era in general. They didn't play any of the starters. I think that may have been a slight misstep. I would have played at least the guys for a series or two. I'm not going to lie. But they didn't play any of the starters. Relax, y'all. This is not the game to start making grand proclamations off of. Jalen Tolbert, though, he's another guy. He was kind of disappointing to me, considering the role that he's supposed to play on this team. And the fact that he really didn't look all that great last night. He didn't really separate himself from the crowd. He didn't stand out. He didn't really do anything that made you be like, ooh, okay. It was like, yeah, I know exactly why. He showed again exactly why. I'm just not the biggest fan of thinking that he's going to be our wide receiver 3 over a Jonathan Mingo. He's not physical enough, bro. He probably tries hard. He's a good athlete, but I don't know if he's a great football player. You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between being a good athlete and a good football player. And I just don't know if he's physical enough to, again, dominate his own space, man. It's just like he's just getting thrown around out there on the field. He can't make guys miss in open space. And it's just like, all right, I think if anything, we saw something out of him that we should be like, all right, y'all. And it's not like he had a terrible night or anything. It was just like he didn't stand out at all. Like he's not a player that actively makes an impact. The plays that he and Dak make throughout the regular season, any player, I feel like any receiver could probably make those same plays. And that's the thing that that's what I'm saying. You don't want guys that are interchangeable where anybody can do what those guys are doing. You want players on your team that bring something unique, that bring something that they stand out above the rest of the crowd with. And I don't think that Jalen Tolbert has any attribute that's like that, to be honest. And I think Jonathan Mingo does. And if Joe Milton would have actually used that rocket arm Bazooka Joe or Rocket Joe, if he would have used that rocket and actually threw the ball in front of Jonathan Mingo, Mingo would have had him a nice long touchdown catch. So he would have had a good night right there off of that one catch. And I think they actually took him out after that because they pretty much was like, yeah, you would have had you a nice little 60-yard touchdown on the stat sheet. So you would have been done for the night. So Jonathan Mingo, I think he showed something last night. Ryan Flanoy, I think Ryan Flanoy actually looked really good. He found himself open a whole lot. And there were actually things to be encouraged by, y'all. That's just what I'm getting at. Ryan Flanoy, Jonathan Mingo, Treshawn Holden again. He looks like a player. He looks like a football player. Hell, I think that Treshawn Holden better than Jalen Tolbert right now. I'm gonna be real with you. I think he better than Jalen Tolbert right now. Maris Leofow, he was another guy that really stood out last night as it pertains just the plays he made. He flashed. Like, he looked like he was a step above other guys out there. He looked like he was processing quicker. He was playing faster. He was playing physical. Like, he looked like an actual starting quality player out there on that field. And that's how Jalen Tolbert's supposed to look on the other side of the ball. He looked like Jalen Tolbert supposed to be putting guys in the blender last night, bro. He was not. He just wasn't doing that, right? Maris Leofow, Jay Toye had his moment. So for all the negative, and the run defense was decent, even with all the backups and stuff in. The run defense was actually decent in the first half. It fell apart in the second half, so it got kind of ugly. But overall, this isn't a game to worry about. That's my point. This wasn't a game to worry about. It's the preseason. We are not about to get emotional about preseason games, y'all. We have literally seen teams go 0-4 in the preseason and then end up making the deep playoff run. So we can't. Preseason, no. Teams have gone undefeated in the preseason and then been ass in the regular season. Do not look at the preseason as an evaluation of what the team is actually going to be. You don't know what the coaches are actually using this preseason for. We don't know what Brian Schottenheimer and his coaching staff are actually looking at, what they're trying to see, what they're testing out. We don't know what they're working on. And we do know they're working on something because Shotty has had a plan every step of the way. So we do know that there's a method to the madness. But damn, bruh, y'all relax. That's all I'm trying to say. Y'all relax. Either way, let me know in the comments below. How did you feel about the Cowboys' first preseason game? And are you one of the people that were overreacting? Be honest. Now, them Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.